We are back to talk about Rooster Fighter Episode 3 with the one and only Cameron Funny Clips. Take it away, man.
Yep, I'm right here, and I may sound different because I'm a little sick, but hopefully that doesn't mess up my video on this.
No, it looks good, man. I want to know what
All
your
right.
thoughts about this episode were.
Okay, so I was expecting them to wait till episode 4 for all the lore drops, but literally this is the part of the manga where they literally start getting more lore building in the world building and everything. And I will say they did a really good job putting the comedic moments, but also like the more serious moments in this episode as well. I think they did really well with it, and especially how heartfelt this episode really was at times.
I agree. I do. 100% agree with that one. I very much enjoyed it too. Like, what were some of your favorite moments of the episode, though? It's like really hard, I feel like, in this one.
I definitely like the whole bathhouse scene where he's like afraid of water and everything. That part in the manga always made me laugh, is
Uh,
what it was.
mhm. I did find that pretty funny. One of the big things that I found so funny in this episode was Elizabeth's backstory. You would think it was going to be like super tragic, but she was really just like a rich girl, rich bird, or whatever you
Hmm.
want to call it. She was living a lavish lifestyle, and really what broke her was Keiji ended up sleeping with her and running away like he usually does. It just kind of takes you off guard. You're just like, what the heck? It's like one of those backstories that is just straight comedy, and that was really what surprised me.
Yeah, it surprised me too when I read it in the manga. I thought that was like insane. I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. I see. And but eventually like Elizabeth is like a great character in with this trio that will soon become a quartet pretty soon. So that's another thing.
Did you notice also that it's the third episode and now there's three birds?
Yeah, it happens. Oh, it's crazy how quickly they get like to the three birds, and then it takes for like a good bit till we get like the fourth bird of the group.
Yeah.
But it's actually really worth it once you get to them.
So what do you say? We probably won't see a fourth bird in the next episode, more than likely.
Yeah, yeah. Next episode most likely is going to be really action packed because that one, from what they're showing, because they only showed like one chapter of the last episode. I don't know how many chapters they're going to adapt in this one, but what it looks like it's going to adapt the episode where they're trying to find Pyoko, which is a really good episode, a really good chapter because we see Kiji and Elizabeth trying to work their ways with each other, that because they dislike each other right now
Yeah,
and they're not on good terms, but they have to work together to get Pyoko back.
that's gonna make for a good one.
Yeah, it kind of does remind me of like that episode in Avatar, if you remember, where we had Aang and the girl trapped inside that cave and they're arguing the entire time,
Yeah, yeah.
and they needed to work together to get out of that cave, and eventually they become best friends. It's kind of like that. That's what it is.
Yeah, it just seems like even though they have this difference, that they're still decently getting along all together. The chick is
Yeah.
just a little chick. It's sort of confused in a way, but you can easily tell they're gonna sort of get over it within, I don't know, episodes maybe? I don't know. It could be longer, but I was just surprised. Now, maybe I would like to know a little more about the demon lore because they're kind of explain Elizabeth was on the phone all these like different types of demons that can coexist with humans. There's like ones that try to kill humans. Can you give us like kind of a sneak peek into that maybe without spoiling too much?
Well, for some of the characters, with some of the lore about the demons in the show, what it is, they can absorb humans' energy, and they they literally take whatever the user of the demon is, what it is, and they turn whatever that possession and everything into what their power is. So, like for instance, that first demon we saw in the first episode, he was really stressed at work, and he was talking about how he hated layoffs, he hated people being late for work and everything. And, his power was is that he was getting mad at people for not going to work. And they were just chilling outside and just having a blast outside and not even having work to do while he had to go to work. And pretty much this demon, it literally the white demon pretty much, we don't know the backstory of the person that turned into this demon, but it's very confusing because they haven't shown too much of it.
Mhm.
But like when Elizabeth is looking through all the demons, there's like one with like a piano, one with a guitar, and like there's one of like I remember in the manga there was like one that sings the opera, and it was kind of like that Mozart scene in Don Don 2, season 2,
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah, where Okarun was fighting Mozart, and he's like sing, and his powers are the Mozart singing Mozart is what it is, and it's kind of like that. And so, like, whatever was their possession, that's really what it is. And I really think that's like a cool idea because it really just changes what you really have. And some demons can do different things is what it is. So like it's not consistent like what Demon Slayer is or something like that, where in Demon Slayer, oh, they're evil and they have fangs. That's how you tell they're a demon. No, these demons, they're either a different color, sometimes they're different colors, sometimes they have different powers. They're Pokemon in a sense, but evil. That's what it is.
Yeah, I remember seeing the one that had like 4 or 5 heads. I was like, what the heck is
Oh
that?
yeah.
That was a little ridiculous. It looks like a pretty cool power system, so I'm really excited for that. It kind of reminds me of the Giants in One Piece type of thing with all the friendly ones.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
So I think I don't mind having some chill demon dudes who are kind of doing their own thing because that's like their passion or whatever that kind of blossom into their demonhood. I don't really know how to describe that
Hmm.
too well, but
Yeah.
it seems fun. It seems fun, and that is possibly a part of what makes Rooster Fighter different than most of the demon animes out there. It's really like it could be literally anything the demon could take shape into. But I don't know if there's is there like any possibly that could maybe be non-human, like animals? Like, is that a question that I can even ask at this point?
Oh, that see the whole like manga, it's only shown so far humans turn to demons, not animals, which I think is a little crazy of what you're saying. Maybe that could be like a future arc somewhere where we see animals turning into demons. Like I could definitely see like all the reckless uh one night stands that Kenji was causing could have those hens coming after him afterwards. Like I could see that happening.
It makes something a little like crazy, like you know what I mean, like power, like something that's bigger than the humans, just anything could get demonified. Just anything
Yeah,
and everything.
exactly. Like I think it could be crazy to see like an elephant turn into a demon or something like that, or like a giraffe.
Yeah,
Like that could be pretty cool.
yeah, like,
I could definitely see something like that.
but like, what would make it even weirder is if, like, whatever they're really interested in, like, even if it's an animal, because like, you look at the roosters at this point, and they kind of have their own personalities. It would just partake whatever it was, whatever their profession was. Like, if an elephant was a part of a circus, it would literally like be doing like all the circus stuff. Like, I just feel like it would be crazy. I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah, you could definitely do a whole arc of them going to like a circus where all the animals are tired of being abused and then they get demified and cause havoc at the circus. I could actually see that actually happening.
so,
Or like they get captured at the circus and while they're at the circus,
mhm.
it's those animals turning into demons afterwards.
Yeah, it's just I like the big world of possibilities here. That's part of what makes anime fun, is you never know what could happen next. So really big on that
I
part.
could definitely see a hilarious moment where Kenji is a clown chicken. I could definitely see that, and that
Yeah,
being like a whole gag.
he gets turned into it. He's just stuck inside of like a evil circus full of just random animals that got turned into different various demons. Yeah, that'd be pretty
Yeah,
good.
I could definitely hear him now saying, "Oh, literally put having the makeup put on him," and he's like, "This is humiliating." You know, it's like hilarious voice.
Yeah, I thought that was a big show of this episode. Um, what else is there? Oh, KG's sister. We need to. That's a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
thing. So I finally understood, because you remember last night my episode did cut out, right? So it was.
yeah, yeah,
I kind of got lost. I was like, what happened? And it seems like his sister has some sort of inner ability that is like almost like a phoenix or something like that, where she'll
yeah,
randomly
yeah.
shoot fire. And the white demon has gained that power somehow in one of his fists. So
Hmm.
I almost like to guess that KG is maybe his right hand, whatever his right hand would be, possibly. He's gonna have some sort of power similar to it, because I think him and his sister are kind of like a yin and yang type of thing, where
Yeah,
they
yeah.
both have big powers, and I think the white demon's gonna be after KG in order to get his power. That's just my big guess there. I don't know. What's your
They
take on that?
do they do explain that and I will say this is way better what they do in the anime than in the manga. Mostly because when you're reading a manga, it's hard to word things differently in different tones. Like I know there are some differences in manga, like for some like for Dragon Ball, for instance, in the original Dragon Ball manga, if it was a villain, they would put bold text to show that they're evil and that they're talking menacingly. And if they were like just nice and just friendly, they would put like light text with no bold text letters. And actually, think some artists do that in a way, but like from what I've seen from the manga, it's all bold text pretty much. And like except for Pyoko and stuff like that, but it's mostly just only bold text. And what I like about what they did with the anime is that they show that Kenji was never this like dark and brooding guy. He was just a happy chicken that was just with his sister, and that was like his whole joy. And when she was taken away, all his joy got sucked out of him, and he got into like this vengeful phase, like he didn't need nobody to say to save his sister, is what it was. I thought they handled it very well, and in a sense, it was better than the manga, mostly because we see that change way better. It's definitely something that you know, people argue the manga's better, the anime's better. In this case, the anime did do it better than the manga, in my opinion.
But would you say that they can kind of go together if you wanted to read at the same time as watch? You'd find both pretty enjoyable.
Oh yeah, yeah. They have the same amount of humor. They have the same amount pacing. That they're still both fast paced while also having those little small serious moments. And definitely it's not like something where like the manga is totally different from the anime and like they, where they been like for One Piece, for example, the manga is really fast paced and it's consistent, while the anime it has too much filler and it doesn't. Sometimes it spends too much time on certain scenes compared to what the anime does, and it doesn't do that in a sense where it spends too much time on these like hilarious moments because I could definitely see like them, like for instance the girl giving Kenji the piece of chicken. I could definitely see them making that a whole joke, and then the kid grabs his neck, and they're like, haha, he's holding a cock, and I could definitely see them like making going too far with it, and then that overtakes the episode. But luckily, it is just as good paced as the manga, if not even faster paced, because we're getting multiple chapters per episode.
So it looks good. That is something I do like about a lot of these modern day writers. They're starting to understand that, hey, if my series becomes a hit and it becomes an anime, we got to keep things kind of moving. We can't just slow down. One Piece, I think it's just really deep. Like it's super deep. And at
Hmm.
points, it would come to a stop. The anime would have to figure something out. With like 13 episodes or so, I don't know. The way the anime and stuff like that is now, it makes it just much better. I
I will say these newer animation teams, they're really starting to understand it. These older animation teams are slowly getting there. They're not quite there, like stuff like Tole and stuff like that. They're understanding that the anime side of things have literally changed. Like, I remember Studio Pierrot, but however you say it, the animation team with Bleach and Naruto, uh, they were doing weekly Boruto stuff, and people hated it because of the animation being a downgrade from what we used to have. And then they did Thousand Year Blood War seasonal, and they realized, wait a minute, people like this faster paced seasonal anime that we're doing with Bleach. We need to stop doing Boruto and cut it short because people are not liking the filler content we're putting into this. And I will say I am glad that we're slowly getting to an era where anime is starting to become way more easily better to digest, to say the least, because I will say some anime, it will be like very slow pace, and then you're like, I really wish this could hurry up so I can get to the good stuff that is like the modern seasons of the show that I've heard so many good things about.
I'm big on like 13 episoders. I'm not a big fan of the 25 episodes, but if it takes 25, I'm fine with it. You can fit in a lot of more extra content if you want it to be additional to enhance the experience in these like arcs, these like arc seasons. That's what I do love about it. They're able to enhance rather than take away to try and speed up, slow down, and just make it to a snooze fest. And that's why animes like One Piece and such. kind of got to where they were just feeling very standard. And I'm kind of glad they're going to the big arc releases like everyone else. It's modern world. This is how you do it, and people enjoy it. Now there's always something new to watch. No one's watching the same shows over and over again. Well, I mean, you could go back obviously and watch older content, but as far as new, there's always something new and exciting, and it doesn't take away from other things.
Yeah, definitely. I will also say with Rooster Fire, I am glad that they're all uh while they're making these episodes, they really try to like lure you in, and then in the episode on like a chapter where it leads off of a cliffhanger where you have to watch the next episode, like there's no quitting, like literally you commit to it, and then you see that and you're like, ooh, I really want to see the next episode. It's kind of like how old anime used to do with like certain episodes, but it wasn't like every episode. And I will say sometimes it did make me like want to fall off on certain shows. Like
Mm.
for instance, I know it happened to me with like Bleach with like the first arc where it's very slow paced. It was when the writer was trying to get into like making this world. It wasn't fully fleshed out yet. And eventually, there were some episodes where it was like really boring and you really were like, I don't really like. But when you have something like Death Note where like every episode leads off a really big cliffhanger,
It doesn't get
it's like
old.
really, it's actually really good. And that's why that show is one of the top 10 anime of all time because of how big the show was.
Boom, boom, boom,
And
cliffhanger, cliffhanger.
exactly. And, you know, that's what I think is what keeps a show keep on going is leaving off cliffhangers that really hammer in. Like, there are some anime I really do like Dandadan, I really think it does well with its cliffhangers, especially in the second season. It keeps you want to keep on going. Stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen and uh, other anime like that, they really don't leave off good cliffhangers. I will say, like, I know at, the first season was like a total hot garbage mess, in my opinion. Like, it didn't have good cliffhangers, and on top of that, very little action, in my opinion. It should have had more action with the jiu-jitsu in the name. Like it felt more like let's sit down and watch anime and just stare at the TV for 20 minutes. Kaizen. And that's what it was. And I will say Rooster Fire does a really good job with that and keeping you engaged. And not only that, the characters is another part that anime really gets has a hard time with nowadays. Now, like with certain anime, like for instance, Gachakuda, I will say I really do like it. It's just there is a lot of characters that come and go, in my opinion, and don't stay with you. But stuff like Dan and Sakamoto Days, you are very invested in these characters, and what helps it is the mystery of what is the cool backstory with this character and what is their motives, what will happen with this character in this situation. They always test the limits of these characters. Like for instance, will Pyoko and Kenji ever become a couple? Like that's the big question. I don't know if they'll become a couple, but they could. Or you could be someone that likes Elizabeth and Kenji and wanting them to sort their ways out and become a couple. Or it could be a sense where you're just wanting Kenji just to finally accept that he needs help.
I like that. Yeah, that's Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's what really makes a show really stand out to me is these certain things that you need to do. And it's the same thing with film. Like you don't want to watch like just the main character with a few background characters. You want to be invested in the world. And I think what really makes this anime really work is like the crazy and insane sense of world building this has.
Mhm.
And that's another cool aspect. You don't want it to be exactly like our world. You want to have it with some certain craziness to it.
Definitely, definitely. Um, I hate to move on to the next thing, but there is two more things I think I had to talk about. One is Pyoko being named Pyoko. That was interesting. You were telling me about it last night with the true first name that she was
Yeah,
given.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, okay. This is something I was like, oh boy, I can't wait to tell about this censorship. Censorship is something I absolutely hate in my anime. I hate it when they censor something from the manga, but in this sense, I could actually understand it due to legal reasons. And they were trying to in the actual thing, they were kind of making fun of the because most they were trying to make like a generic name that some 5-year-old would give a chick and it would be Chicken Little. And that's what they give Pyoko originally. Kenji literally uh Pyoko is like, hey mister, you need I don't even have a name. Pops didn't even give me a name. He wanted to sell me off and let them give me a name. And he's like, "Oh, how about you name me, Mister? Since uh, you're my best friend and everything." And once that happened, he's he has no doubt he comes up with the first thing that pops up in his head, and he's like, "Chicken Little." And then Elizabeth is like, seriously, that's what you want to be called for the rest of your life? And then Pyoko at first is like, what? And then she wants to be grateful and everything. And she's like, oh, yay, I love the name Chicken Lil, Chicken Lil. And like the whole thing, like for a good while until there's eventually going to be like a breakup moment, like what we usually see in like film and stuff, where like the
Mhm.
main character runs away from the group and goes on a solo mission and eventually comes back and then treats his friends with equal passion. That will happen soon. But that that's when he's like, Chicken Lil, I want to call you something different. I was not kind to you. And he literally says, how about I give you the name Pyoko? And Chicken Lil is more like a nickname that Pyoko has. So it makes me wonder, what will the nickname be and how will they censor all that and everything? Because it really does kind of change the story,
Mhm.
because it was supposed to show how much Kenji did not put much thought into the name at all. Like he just wanted to come up with a rear name and be gone with it, is what it was. And Pyoko was trying to be kind and everything, and she does not know like the whole story with Kenji. Like the whole time, she doesn't understand this until like later on, she realizes, oh, you lost someone special, just like how I almost lost Pops. And it becomes like a big heartfelt moment, and it does make me want to watch more of this show just to see how much this changes the story. And I really thought the whole Chicken Little aspect was like a really good thing. Honestly, I really could think they could have changed the name into something different than just Chicken Little. You could have called her like Baby Chick or something like that, or uh, Mrs. Chick or something like that. Just something random that, like what the manga was trying to do. A little kid, a little 5-year old, what their name would probably be, and it would be kind of cute. And, they keep that name forever. And, you know, but Kyoko really keeps the name mostly because it reminds her of her past, of what Kenji used to be and what he is now. And like it's good character development all because of this name. And this name change really makes me wonder how this character development will really affect the anime. And I'm hoping like I do trust them to do like very well with like the character development aspect of it, but it is gonna be like very bothersome to me as a manga reader of this, that it's not exactly like it. It's kind of like how when I know with some people when they watch One Piece and it's the Alabasta arc, um, Ace was originally not in that arc in the manga, and it was just put in there for Tolle for filler.
Mhm.
And people prefer Ace to be in Alabasta, and they like that more because it lure builds to when he eventually dies. And when they read the manga, they're disappointed with that because you literally don't get lore build until when uh Luffy finds out that Ace is gonna die and everything. And I thought that was a little that's a little weird too. But that one makes uh is understandable because it originally was filler and it turned into a happy accident. But with the censorship of Chicken Little thing, I really feel like they could have. I understand this probably wasn't originally going to go to Hulu,
Yeah.
but and they were just trying to watch out for lawsuits is really what it really was. But I really could have seen them try to get a little better with certain ways of how they did it. And I will say Elizabeth really does, it bothers her. Like the whole time, this whole name bothers her because she's like, something is up with Kenji because he's not treating Pyoko right,
Yeah.
is what she's thinking. And there was that moment where she was like, oh, you monster. Why would
Yeah.
you want to do that with a child? And, he's like, I'm not that kind of bird, and that's what she's thinking the whole time. He's like some kind of monster. And the way he treats Pyoko, she feels bad for Pyoko for not realizing that Kenji doesn't really care about her all the way. He cares about her because, he has debt to pay for her. And that's the whole reason why he keeps her along.
Mhm.
But I do like that they're trying their best with censorship while also going the extra mile of trying their best not to get a lawsuit as well.
I agree.
But I do see an eventual change in the manga when like Pyoko gets her actual name. Uh, I can actually see them changing lines in there a lot than what the manga was. And that is probably going to be my most like uh I for now I have not seen any manga readers that are that passionate about the anime watching it. But if I ever see something on like Twitter or something like that, I could really see someone getting really mad about how much this changes the story.
Well, like from a watcher perspective, I was curious to see what Pyoko actually meant, and this is what I got. Pyoko is a Japanese term often used as a cute name for a baby chick, derived from Heyoko, chick, and the sound they make, pio pio, was his cheep cheep. In anime and manga, it is also a popular character name, most notably the Princess of the Black Jimma Jimma Gang in D Chai Charats. I'm not for sure if I said that correctly, but it seems like a fitting name at least. And yeah, I think
Yeah,
that later on they could add an additional name just to save themselves for the series. It didn't ruin my watcher. Like I kind of understood what was going on with Keiji as well as Pyoko. It's going to be one of those rough relationships where eventually Pyoko's going to kind of open her little eyes and understand she's sort of being thrown to the side, I feel like, in one point. Or it may not be like that at all, or Keiji's going to finally understand what he's putting them all through, which is equally just as important. So I think all of them are going to end up building off of everything. And this also goes back to Elizabeth. She's trying to understand what Keiji's got going on because she didn't necessarily know him too well. They kind of just met on like a fling thing. So she's trying to read the room as is right now. And the same thing with like what's going on with the little one. It's not bad. It's really not bad writing.
yeah.
So I found
I
it.
will tell you my reaction when I saw this. This is going to be the funniest thing I ever say on this channel, probably.
Mhm.
But when that appeared on screen, I was like listening to it, and I was like, man, like this whole time, like ever since episode 2, I was like, man, I am so happy they have not changed a single thing from the manga. And I was like, I am so like I could actually see someone watching this and eventually watching reading the manga, and it's exactly like how it is because they can get caught up with the series with the manga. And I was like, that's gonna be like perfect for because uh then people can really get into the manga like what other series can do. And then when I turned on this episode, I was like, okay, let's see what they do in this one. Then once they got done with like the whole comedic stuff, I was like, oh, we're going to the lore building stuff. Okay. Once they got to the lore building stuff, and then once they got to the bathhouse, I was like, oh, this is the part. This is the part where they say Chicken Little. I forgot that Disney owns that name because they made the Chicken Little movie.
Yeah.
And when I was like, oh, and that's where that name came from, was from that movie. And I was watching it, and then he says Piyoko. I was like, what? I was like in shock. Like I was like, it was it was like they like I felt like something bad happened to me. Like, oh, when you get that feeling when something when you feel like something terrible has happened, and it just felt wrong when I heard that. I was like, man, that was like one of the most funniest parts from the manga that made me laugh. And they changed it to Piyoko. I don't think that makes it that funny, in my opinion, because then people are like, wait, what does that mean? And then it's not as funny because as if it was Chicken Little, because then it's like the most random thing in the world, and you're like, huh, that's hilarious. Chicken Little. That would be something my grandkid would say. Like, I can understand that. But when they change it to Piyoko, I think it loses the comedy aspect of it.
It does in a sense, but it depends who's watching. I feel like this is more of a casual person show that does equally have that adrenaline like Jujutsu Kaisen and everything else that's modern. That's the thing, that using Pyoko and what it really deprives from, that's something that necessarily not everyone's going to get unless they're like deep into the anime culture and all that good stuff, or even manga at that end. it feels definitely like kind of underground comedy, as Chicken Little's like an American funny thing that we would say, even as kids. So that's where they kind of shot themselves in the foot using the name the author did, unfortunately. But doesn't necessarily mean he can't use it later on and kind of say it's not off the table. I feel like they,
Yeah, I was thinking like, well, we are in the early episodes. What if when they got done, like in the middle of like the series, they started putting the series up for grabs for like companies to get, and eventually, Disney got it for the streaming rights, and then the airing rights went straight to Adult Swim. I could see them probably at some point making a joke about it, but I'm like 20% sure it will happen.
mm,
But mostly because most of the time with these anime, when it comes to America, and I know it's on Disney Plus in Japan, but I know in America it takes a while for the localization to be for up for grabs for certain things because they get the show done and then they do the dubs for all the countries and stuff.
mm.
So it really depends on what this is all gonna come out to be.
It's came out solid so far. We still got
Yeah.
quite a bit to go. Um, there is one more thing I would like to kind of talk about. Nothing too crazy, but we see Pyoko get grabbed by what seems to be a kitty cat. I don't know what's going on with
Yeah.
that. I do know Elizabeth was friends with the cat before her town kind of got blown up, but
Hmm.
I don't think it's that cat. I think this is just a random cat. So I think
They
something.
do they do show that other all these animals can talk to each other. So like a chicken can talk to an elephant and pretty much understand it. A giraffe can talk to a zebra and completely understand it. And that's what really makes it interesting because you're getting the animal perspective of all of this is happening compared to what the human perspective of all this would be. And literally in this one, in next episode, what it seems like they're gonna do is that they're gonna keep like this episode more like uh the relationship thing, and then eventually coming friends, Kenji and Elizabeth, because
Mhm.
they have to work together. And I will say this one is very like character developed. So it will be more on less on the comedy side than what the past episodes have been. But but since this is still kind of a parody, this could still be going on to be having comedic moments here and there. Because this, even with the character development moments, they still, the author really knows how to put um, jokes at the right moments.
Mhm.
It's not something like what most shows do, where something like Rick and Morty, where it's supposed to be a really serious moment, and then you all of a sudden have Rick saying something hilarious during a tension scene. It's really something a little bit better than that. And while it's not taking itself too seriously, it's doing the jokes at the right moments.
Exactly. Exactly. Good writing. I can see it. I feel it. It's good. Good so far.
And the author really does like he doesn't he does when he was making this manga, he really felt like every anime was becoming too serious and most anime was straying away from the comedic side of things that stuff like Fooly Cooley was doing. And uh like the manga came out in 2020, so you also had a dark age where people were getting into manga and anime, but you also had this pandemic going around that people were really upset about. And he just wanted to put a smile on everyone's faces. And he literally made this manga because who thinks of a story about a chicken in an anime to be actually really good? And he he just made it just to be funny and stuff, and he just wanted to make the world laugh is really what he was trying to do. And when I think it was Viz Media that did it, not Shonen Jump, and when they picked it up, they actually gave him plenty of time to make volumes of it. So it's like he doesn't do weekly chapters like what One Piece does and stuff like that. He does take breaks a lot. So if it's like in a big story arc, it takes a while. So I could see like a season 2 of this really being a really long time, like for a good bit. But I think that's the charm of it, that he's not rushing the comedy, because I think that's what makes the comedy perfect, because he's developing these jokes to be perfect. And that's what he wanted this series to be. He wanted it to be serious and making fun of how serious anime is at times,
Mhm.
but he also wanted to make it an entertaining, fun, world building experience like what most modern anime was. So it's kind of a mixture of both old and new, and putting them together, and you get like something really nice. And I do think he is one of the best in the industry right now. So far, this is like the only manga he's working on. So, like, when he's like making his manga panels, he's like probably just coming up with like whatever is funny at the time. But I do think this show is getting better as it goes along, and I am seeing more people actually liking this and stuff. Like I'm seeing more people be more positive on stuff like my anime list,
Mhm.
where people have pretty much been saying, the CGI is not laggy like most CGI in anime, and it's actually really good. It's like a good mixture in Dragon Ball Superhero, where that CGI, it was like very fluent and it was like perfect and everything. People didn't really like it because it's not what they're used to Dragon Ball, but this is like a new series, so it works perfectly, in
Okay.
my opinion. And not only that, the guy, he draws it like so deep. Like if you look, I don't know if you looked up what the manga panels look like,
Mm-mm, I
but
haven't seen it.
oh yeah, yeah. It is as detailed as what the One Punch Man manga is, because of how insanely detailed it is at times. Like he details every wrinkle, and that's probably what also makes it so uh what makes it take longer too, is because he's putting so much detail on these like chickens. And what I think is cool about all this is that they make sure all those details are the same in the anime. But at the same time, I do think eventually we are going to see, I could see at some point CGI becoming a norm in anime. That could happen. We're seeing it change in the industry. And I think this show is like a good example of what CGI in anime could be, in a sense. But I could also see this crashing and burning at some point because of it being on Hulu, because most anime on that airs on Hulu usually crash and burns is what people say, because Disney, I do hate them when they with their Hulu stuff, they do not market their Hulu stuff like they should, like they do with the Disney Plus stuff. They all, and when they do uh market a Hulu show, it's usually something that is like PG levels of humor is what it is, and not something like what this show is, where it's a little more harder to market because of how niche the thing is.
Yeah, it's niche, but I can definitely see the details. It almost reminds me of like that old school Naruto type of stuff going on. I was looking at the chickens last night, and it was almost like I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like an old Japanese anime style that's like similar to back then. You can see how detailed the chickens are and everything around it. It does
A
look,
lot like when during the days of Ghost in the Shell, how really fluid and detailed the anime really was, and how it really felt like you were watching live action,
yeah,
but it was animated.
mhm, definitely. I could definitely see how great it is, and yeah, it is Biz. They actually blocked one of the videos that we did. The first one had to re-upload it, so it's because the
Yeah,
thumbnail is either the thumbnail or the background. They're like, "Oh, you're not using our stuff on our watch." Well, now they can't really say anything because it's the center of attention. Um,
yeah.
I guess with all of that, what would you rate episode 3?
This one was definitely way better than the past ones, which does make me think that this does deserve a 10 out of 10. And I will say I am going to have to blot down my past 10 out of 10 episodes to like a 9 out of 10 for those episodes, mostly because of how good this one was. If this is like the style of episodes we're actually going to go towards, which this is where the manga kind of gets to more lore building and more seriousness, I could actually see this actually becoming one of my favorite animes of all time. Definitely.
I'm looking at the rating right now, so I think have I been saying an 8.9 as of late? Either that or 9. For this one, for sure, it's definitely in the nines. It gave us a lot of stuff to think about going on. I feel like that in my books, I like potential of different scenarios in animes, like the games I play. I want to think that anything could happen, and the endless possibilities of the different demons was really insane in my books. The little backstory, Elizabeth's backstory, and as well as Pyoko and what's coming up. I gotta say it's like a 9.2 in my book. I think that is fairly a high score. I think it's really strong into the third episode. Usually, a lot of animes, it's the first episode, number two usually drops off, third, it's really just coin flip. And it's continued to show it's really a great show. This is probably one of the best Toonami animes to actually be on the air. I mean, it's not like a lot of competition, sadly. That's the worst part of it. I haven't seen one of the other ones. There's like a racing series called like Grand Prix. I do got to see that one eventually.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, me too, definitely. Yeah.
yeah, it shows quality, but it's comedy, action, all the things that people love. And as time goes on, I'm hoping they continue to do their own thing. At some points, it does feel like they do try to appease to a lot of different things that people are into, and they're finally trying to be themselves more and more as we're going on, which I love a lot. So I had a lot of fun with it. Hopefully that wasn't too bad of a rating and thought process of it.
No, it was good. It was good.
Um, got anything else to add to that?
Definitely want to say that as this series goes on, this will start to become the new norm. We're going to start getting more episodes that are more serious with bits of comedy here and there. And instead of what the first two episodes were, where it was mostly comedy and less action, is what it was. So I really think that's when it's like the best of the best is when you have this lore building with comedy in there every once in a while than what it was in the first half. But the first half does reel you in. really good because of the comedy aspect of it.
Yeah, I am excited to see some action aspects start getting serious. It's been kind of silly, and that's what we're gonna have to see everything. You know, it's gonna give us all these different flavors, and we just got to see how it intermingles. So another big episode. Like it's been a big episode after big episode. I'm excited. I'm excited. Um, I don't really got anything to add there. You, oh, I was gonna say this is a 55-minute episode so far. I was gonna let you know. I was like, dude, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be crazy. My computer might explode. No, I'm kidding.
Definitely.
Um, I guess at this point, all I can say is I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on Rooster Fighter Episode 3. Hope you guys stay safe. And until next time, peace out,
Peace
guys.
out, guys.